We'll sip of coffee before we start, just for those who tuned in early.
I just came from downstairs with a fresh hot cup.
Tuned in early.
I just came from
We'll sip
downstairs
of
with
coffee before we
fresh
start, just
hot
for
cup.
them. All right, everything sounds good. So I will say, hey, this is Shaun with the Atlanta Tennis Podcast powered by GoTennis. Check out our calendar of Metro Atlanta tennis events at letsgotennis.com. And this year, especially this month, we are looking for your story. We want to hear the funny things, the entertaining things, the great story, the I hit a tweener in the city finals and everybody lost their minds to, oh, sorry, I won't tell you my story. All right, so I'll keep my story to myself. But we want to hear your story. /my story. It is letsgotennis.com/my story. We want to hear it. Come tell us all about it. Gets you entered to win some things, and it's going to be great. Today, this is Can My Kid Play College Tennis? But we're going to ask a slightly different question within the concept. Because you might ask as a parent, can my kid play college tennis? What you might want to ask your kid instead is, do they have any idea what it takes to play college tennis? Do you have any idea as the parent what it takes to play college tennis? It's hard. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. And it is definitely not always glamorous. Dave, you got a few stories of knowing some. Not like me. I went in, of course. Everything was wonderful. But I did find out I had zero free time.
Yeah, I'm a little more old school. We talked about that earlier this morning. Back in my day, part of your student athlete agreement, whether it was written or not, it seems like in today's world everything is getting written down and signed and all that, was that part of you signing a scholarship offer with it could have been as low as Division II, could be NAIA, Division I, obviously, but a lot of divisions out there. With amongst those, once you sign that letter of intent, I guess part of the unwritten thing was that you, as a student athlete, was going to uphold your grade point average, which would allow you to play tennis. You could go into the coach, and I remember, my first coach or two in college. I played junior college tennis, and it's kind of funny how people bash in today's world. They bash junior college tennis, but yet I remember back even when I was in junior college, that was in 77, 78, there was a guy that won the junior college national championship named Brian McDonald, who at that time, in the 70s, he had just beaten a guy named Stan Smith down in South Africa in a tournament. And Stan Smith won, I think, the 71 or 72 Wimbledon. So Brian McDonald was not a bad player. And so, along the same lines, on a different topic, all these parents are saying, well, all these foreigners are coming in here, la, 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 la. I said, it's been happening forever. It didn't just start happening. I remember when I played, really quickly, we call it the JUCO, National Junior College Championships out in Waco, Texas. We had a 256 draw of all the number ones on every team. We're playing number ones, and twos play twos, on and on and on. And you got points for your team for every round that you won. And I was in the round of 16, the last 16, and I was the only American on all 8 courts. And so I hear parents talking about that, and I just kind of chuckle because they really don't understand or don't know. But anyway, when you sign that letter of intent, back then you were signing on to keep your grades up. And if you had trouble with a subject, and I had trouble with math, and I think everybody has trouble with literature. Oh my God. I mean, but anyway, you could ask the coach for a tutor and get a tutor set up on the side. I think in today's world, what has happened is it's not a bad or good thing. It's just a sign of the times, is that the college now has an investment in you, no matter if it's a full or partial scholarship, and you've got other uh, areas of expertise that you're getting more money from to help your, pay for your financial, education. They go ahead and set up, and I don't know if it's a specific tutoring session. Okay. It's not like we're going to set up, math and science and all this other stuff. We're not going to have a tutor of all. We're going to have a general study session. And if Shaun is having trouble in that area, we can get somebody to help him during that time. I think it's more of like a study session, kind of a setup every night to make sure they are studying so that their investment in you does not go by the wayside if you can't play tennis or whatever sport. I have no problem with that. I kind of wish they had done that when I was around. It was a little more freelance, and you would go to your own study groups that you would set up with friends and things like that. And to a degree, I think that I like that side of it because it does bear a little bit of responsibility for you, the person, to get it done. I understand that they understand that a lot of times it won't, but it also allowed me to interact with people from different, specialties, different, specialties. People were good at math. I'd go tutor with them, and they were, we call those the brainiacs or whatever, but I got to associate with them. I got to learn a little bit about them and their side of the world. Whereas now with that tutoring, you're only seeing your teammates or other athletes. You don't get to branch out and see the other sides of the world. And I don't know if it hurts or helps, but it is different, And so I don't think parents of today understand the commitment that student athletes go through. Oh my God, go for it. You tell me. You're a little more new generation than I am.
Well, it's not that I played high-level college tennis, but the concept is still the same.
Absolutely.
We're also close to someone who is a former college linebacker, played college football at Duke, and that's no small feat. And he's now playing in the NFL. And you look at him, you talk to him, and he says they own you to some degree. I also knew someone back in the day who played Division I soccer for 1 year at, if I can remember, maybe Wake Forest something. And she said it was intolerable how much they controlled her. And she actually didn't play after that first year because she just didn't want that for herself. And she went and played at a local college and had a great time. But it's what your kid doesn't know that they don't want. Are they really committed to that? And you look at some of these players that come onto the tour even. They come out of Georgia Tech. We can look at Andres Martin and a guy like that who knows he's in it no matter what. He's going to put in the work. And then you look at Ethan Quinn coming out of UGA. And you look at those guys. They went to college with a plan, and they knew what it took, and they knew what they were doing. Now, those are your guys that usually end up on tour at some level. But if you're just asking, can my kid play college tennis? Step back for a second and say, do they know what they're getting into because of the 5 a.m. workouts? And then you go to class. My first class was at 7:40 in the morning, and I was finished at 2. And that included a lunch, but I was finished at 2. Practice started at 3. We were in the gym at 5. You have dinner at 6, and you think, oh, great, now can I go screw around and be a college kid? Well, no, you got to study at some point not because you necessarily want to. I know plenty of athletes that weren't there for the schooling. I won't ever admit that I wasn't there for the schooling. I'd never say that out loud. And in that case, it's you still got to do the work. So there's no glamorous lifestyle more often than not. Some people just see the end where everybody's cheering and we've won the thing. We all won the thing. And, oh, it looks so great to be on a college tennis team. It is work, and probably more work than you even know.
Yeah, I think just like what you were saying is, we always see, the parades. We always see, those kinds of things. The other thing is, what you just described as far as going to work out in the morning, then going to class, and that included lunch until about 1 or 2. Then you get to practice at 2 or 3. You're in the gym at 5. You're through with that at 6, and then you got to go study. What people don't realize is that that's 5 days in a row. And somewhere in there, you're going to have to get sleep time, which is valuable. You're going to have to do some ice treatment, things like that, to help your recovery process so that you can keep performing at a decent level every day. Otherwise, you get injured.
Well, and this is not to mention the trips. So now I got to get in a van on a Thursday and miss two days of classes. I'm in a van and we're driving to Memphis. Nobody wants to go to Memphis. You're driving to Memphis and you got to play a tournament on the weekend. You get back on Tuesday. You just missed 4 days of classes. So now you have the same schedule and you got 4 days. You got to go back to those teachers and say, hey, yeah, I'm playing tennis. Well, we know, Shaun. Okay. Were you actually on a tennis trip this time or you just didn't decide?
Right.
I'm giving away too many of my college stories. But it's the scenario where there's a lot and you got to make up. I mean, remember when you're in high school and you decide, hey, we're going to take off a week, go to Disney World. I want parents to do that. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a great idea. Personally, I'd rather take my kid to Disney World than send him to a school. But when they come back, they still have to make up that work. There's so much to do aside from just getting better at tennis.
Yeah, I think, I look at them and I go, so right now, the one thing I was talking to somebody the other day that they lived in, I think it was in Miami, and they looked out and they saw this dog park down there below them, or a park, with, it could have been AstroTurf or grass, doesn't matter, but it's a park meant for people to come play. And they said, look down there, all you see are dogs and people. Nobody's playing except the dogs. And I said, that's kind of sad because I used to go to the park. I used to go play, and now everything is so scheduled. But, if your kid likes to be scheduled after school is out, let's say at 3 o'clock, and they schedule, if they like that, then they may want to try college tennis because that's what it's like. If you like that gear of being specialized, one of our good friends, J-Dubs over there, when he played at the Citadel, that's why he went there, was because they geared everything all day for you. And if you want to go to the bathroom, you had to have a schedule. And he liked that because it dictated his time, so there was no trouble.
That did not work for me. That was never going to work for me. I'm glad it works for him. My stepson Michael is that way. He's like, I need the structure. Like, he wants that structure. Yeah. I wonder about that for my kid, because then that's my next question is, let's make it my last question. How do I know what my kid doesn't know? And I'll combine that with, let's assume the kid doesn't know that. It's your job as the parent to know that. So skip that question. I already know the answer. Hey, parents, it's your job to know what it takes to play college tennis, and you need to talk to your kids about it. The coach is going to help, but you need to find that out. If you don't know what it takes, go talk to your coach, go talk to the academy coach, go talk to the kids coach and say, what is he looking at? What is she looking at? What is this thing that's coming up? Do we really want it? But then go look at your kid and say, hey, kid, little Shaun, little Dave, is this what you want? Do you want the structure? Do you want this? And Dave, you got a couple of kids. How did you know what they appreciated? I mean, I think you pretty much know fairly early as a parent, right?
Yeah, if you're getting them to the, one of mine who went, was a very good volleyball. Both of them good volleyball players, but one of them saw how much at 13 years old it was going to cost us to send her to one of the higher academies. She looked at us and went, I can't expect you to do that. I mean, it was like a mortgage. I mean, it was absurd. And I said, well, I respect it, but is that what you want? And, she just said, no, I don't think so. And at that point, it was an honest conversation. Do all kids talk to their parents that way? Probably not, but you have to give it a chance, give it an effort to, and by hopefully 14, 15 years old, whether, what kind of kid you're talking to. If you don't know by then, you ain't been around them enough, you've been subbing them out or something.
Yep.
And that happens. It happens, but you got to pay attention to the way they talk to you and what's coming out of them. And whether you trust it 100%, 20%, whatever, know how to roll with it,
Yep. So in that light, make sure you talk to the kids. talk to your children, find out what's going on, learn as much as you can about what college tennis really is. And we put that on the parent. Now, coaches, same thing. Talk to those parents. Make sure they know. They're not all going to get to see this video. Right? Coaches, go talk to the parents. Hey, are you sure little Johnny wants to do this? Because he doesn't really work hard here. Or maybe he's such a hard worker here, but he's not structured like I was. Maybe he needs a less structured group. Because I was also in chorus and traveling. Half my time in a van was with chorus people. And I was missing double the class. And it made it even tougher. But even then, I was missing some tennis stuff for chorus. I mean, there were some music department things that need to happen. So if your kids have a lot of things going on, like the irons in the fire conversation we've had before, talk to the kids, talk to the parents. It's about that. It's about that conversation. Dave Matthews, can my kid play college tennis? The answer is maybe. Check in next week. Maybe. Thanks so much, Dave.
You got. Take care.